93, 93, 93. This is the man Asha Renew from AshaRenew.com. Back in here once again. You already know what the fuck it is. You turn on this background music. Yup. All right, turn it down a bit. Hold on, turn it down a bit. All right. So we in here once again, speaking about current events. You know, everything that your favorite content creator doesn't even speak about. We already know the deal, so let's get into some real shit while everybody else is distracted with nonsense. Especially American media. Again, I'm very, very frustrated with American media, with the propaganda, the fog of war, so on and so forth. So let's talk about what's really going on a worldwide level, because it just seems like things keep getting just more and more ridiculous. You know, the ego is out of control right now, unfortunately. But let's speak about it. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Nancy Pelosi, who is the House Speaker. She is planning a trip to Taiwan next month. And ever since that trip has been announced, China has had an issue with it. Initially, they threatened her, saying to her, if you come over here, we're going to freeze your assets. What they mean by freezing her assets, meaning her family, especially her husband, you know, they have assets in China, whether it's stock or otherwise. And of course, the Chinese government knows about this. So according to China, this is in direct conflict of interest for her to be in Taiwan, which is recognized as a sovereign country. However, China isn't going for it. So that was the first threat, that they were going to freeze up her assets. Now they have come back with an even more powerful threat. Now they're saying if she steps foot in Taiwan, it will be a military response. So now they're going to step beyond just freezing assets and hurting pockets. Now they're saying, like, oh, you think we fucking around? Okay. There will be a military response. So the fact that we don't hear more people speaking about this to me is absolutely ridiculous, as if something is more important. Because if things happen the way that we think it's going to happen, this is not going to end well for no one. Because we already got the Ukraine conflict going on. And now, this is what you see what I mean by America. We just continue to step on everybody's toes because we want to be the world police. We want to be bullies. So not only are we funding the war in Ukraine, meaning we have given at least $60 billion to the Ukraine conflict. $60 billion have been sent to Ukraine. And we're still trying to go on the other side of the world and then ruffle the feathers of China. So China is looking at this like, what the fuck are you doing? You creating havoc in one part of the world, and now you trying to come over here like y'all don't already have y'all hands tied, which we do. Which goes into the next point. We are already in a recession, but it is continuously denied. What I mean by that is the U.S. Treasury Secretary denied that we are in a recession. Those are her words. But this is also the same woman who was wrong about inflation. She was the same woman speaking about when we passed the bill, back better. We have all type of bills trying to be passed. Her words were that would not lead to inflation. Those were her words. Everything that we're trying to push through will not lead to a recession. And like fools, we believed her. So much so that she had to come back and apologize. And then she said she was wrong. She made a mistake. She made a miscalculation. And now the same woman who made a miscalculation about inflation is now telling us that we're not in a recession. So who are you going to believe? So you see, we keep piling on these issues, and we're only doing it to ourselves. This is nobody else's fault. And this is why I keep saying that America will fall, or we will lose this conflict. Because not only are we starting it, now we're trying to start shit everywhere else. We're trying to ruffle the feathers of China. We're trying to ruffle the feathers in the Middle East. Because in the Middle East, the Middle East, we are accusing the Middle East of playing both sides. Specifically Iran and Turkey. We are accusing the Middle East of playing both sides, working with Putin, but also trying to work with Biden. So this is not necessarily going over well, because it's like they're not taking a clear stance. And the only reason we're over in the Middle East in the first place is because of the oil, because of what's going on in Ukraine. So now we have to go around the world begging for oil. So you would think that we had some type of plan here, instead of just going in, trying to dominate, trying to throw money all over the place. But unfortunately, it's not working. Which then leads to the next issue. Now people's graves are being defaced. So the grave of a Ukrainian Nazi hero was defaced in Germany. Another story you're not going to get from the American outlets, or the mainstream ones at least. So somebody's grave was just disrespected. They put all type of seals and symbols on this grave. So now we are disrespecting the dead. And we know that doesn't end up well, now does it? So we are literally creating more problems for ourselves. And the worst part of this is most of us are not even paying attention. We're more concerned with what's going on with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. We're more interested in what's going on with these rappers. You know, a rapper recently passed. I think Rolly Bands or something. That's what I see on every hip hop outlet, every other outlet. His name is all over the place. That's what everybody's talking about. So while everybody is focused on that, and you know, salute to him, and you know, I'm not disrespecting him, but this is what's on our minds. This is what's on the mainstream minds, and we are completely ignoring everything else, which we always do, because again, every time a rapper gets killed, it's on everybody's platform. Everybody wants to speak about that, but you don't see them speaking about anything else. And this is my issue, because we know that the only reason they're doing that is because of clicks and views and clout. It's not because they actually care, because they didn't know this man. So it's not like they're doing it from a pure space because this was somebody they knew or they was a fan of his music. That's not the case at all. It's just whenever somebody dies, you're going to get clicks and views. But this is the reason why I never speak about those things. Well, I don't put those names in the titles because I'm not going to, and I said this again, I have no intention of profiting off of the death of my own people. That does not sit well with me. So if that means that I'm not going to get a YouTube check because I'm not talking about the bullshit, then so be it. But that's me. Don't expect nobody else to feel that way. What's up, Vernita? What's up, Chief 93? What's up, Dank Wizard? Disturbing the dead is a bad idea no matter what culture. But we see the only reason we're doing that is because we're too fucking ignorant to know that it has consequences. That it creates karma, because people never die. We know death is an illusion like life is an illusion. So there is a time and space where these energies are alive and well, just not on a physical 3D plane. This is how people attract bad karma to themselves. And they wonder why their life is so chaotic. Because they cannot control what comes out of their mouth. They can't control what's coming out of their mouth because they have no self-control. They have no self-control because we are in a world where ignorance is bliss. So the more ignorant you are, you can say the more likely that you're going to go viral. Because that's what people are doing it for. People are literally faking shit. What do I mean? Like, everybody has heard about the story with the woman who, you know, has she has multiple children, and she called the father of one of her children, asking him to feed her children, and he only brought food for his child. So the rest of the children didn't have a meal. And that clip went viral. Everybody was talking about that. Again, we flock to shit like that. Right? That gives us a fucking hard on when that type of shit happened. But lo and behold, that was all fake. That wasn't even real. But because people know how to play on our psychology, we fell for the bait, and we're going to keep falling for it every time. Because they have broken this down into a science. This is what people don't understand. They know how the mind works. They know what's going to get under your skin. That's why people make shock content, shock value content, because they know you're going to feel some type of way. And we just get absorbed into it every time, not knowing that this is trickery. But our emotions get the best of us. Every single time. We do not see it as trickery. So while everybody is focusing on a father buying some fucking McDonald's, nobody's talking about, well, that's not even a healthy meal. You probably should not be feeding children McDonald's. But we can't even have that conversation because we're so caught up in the emotionalism of it. So now we have our own people playing on our emotions, on our psychology, our own people. This is not no one else's fault. We are literally doing content and creating drama for a check to go viral, to get some type of clout. While this real shit is going on and everybody's silent about it. Again, I may be the only creator even talking about it like the way I talk about it. Because again, nobody cares about black lives. So we talk about each other dirty. We do each other dirty every day, all day. That's what we do. We continuously do each other dirty. So we don't care about each other's lives. So that's why when a person dies, we're rushing to create content. We're rushing to create content about this bullshit, about shit that's fake. See, yeah, everybody reacted on that fake ass skit. Everybody had a reaction, an initial reaction, then an after effect after they figured out that it was a prank. Everybody just got duped. So while we were so caught up in that bullshit, look at all this real shit that's going on that's just completely evading us. We're more concerned with a goddamn McDonald's meal that's unhealthy. We're more concerned with fucking McDonald's than the House Speaker potentially being in danger. And I'm not pro-Democrat whatsoever. But I'm looking like, I feel this is a lot more important than a prank. But unfortunately, like I was saying, we don't care about each other. So that's why we don't even hear these people speaking about nobody white, nobody Caucasian, nobody European. We just talk about each other. Just check around. Look at all these channels with all these black faces and see how many times they have spoken about somebody white other than Trump. See, and Trump is a safe target. Anybody can talk about Trump. Ain't shit gonna happen to you. But other than that, everybody's silent. And we don't see these games. We don't see what's going on right in front of us, and that's why we will suffer. And that's why we continue to suffer. And that's why we are not in the position that we feel we should be in. Because everybody's looking at us like, what the fuck are you doing? But this is what happens when you're taught to eat the wrong foods, spiritually, mentally, and physically. This is the result. When you eat trash, you produce trash. So yeah, when you're fucking eating that McDonald's, then you wonder why you want to sit and watch fucking Maury or watch some type of drama-filled show after you didn't ate garbage. But see, nobody's correlating it. We wonder why we want to argue with our own family, friends, and just ready to turn up on strangers. And we wonder why we're just so violent and just ready to go off on each other. I don't see that same energy with other races of people. I just don't. I mean, us towards them. I don't see us so readily ready to kill a cop. And I'm not recommending that you do that. But we're so ready to kill each other, though. We have no problem killing each other, but yeah, try to do that shit to a cop. You know there will be grave consequences. Do that to a politician, you know it's going to be grave consequences. But these are supposed to be the people that's in the way of us being liberated. We got to deal with these crooked ass cops. We got to deal with these crooked ass politicians. But nobody's raising a gun. We don't even know what's going on. Most of our people don't even watch the news. Not even watch the news, read the news. Fuck watching the news, reading the news. Most of our people don't even read the news. We have no clue about what's going on until it's literally right in front of your doorstep. Until you look up and you realize, damn, I'm paying so much more for gas. Then you begin to catch on, but it's already too late. It's already in effect. Things is already moving. Then you just once it start hitting your pockets, that's when we wake up. When we start spending more money than usual, that's when we begin to pay attention. Like, what's going on here? But before that, we literally have people that consume this content all day, every day. World star hip hop. Like, this is literally people's mental food. People acting savage. And you know, all this does is motivate me to be healthier. That's why I've been speaking about health. That's why I've been speaking about diet. Because I see the consequences if I don't. Because I know I'm going to do it regardless. But I just share it. Because I know there's no way that I'm going to fall for this trap. This is why I'm talking about what I'm talking about. Because I don't live that lifestyle. I've literally cut out meat. I don't even eat meat. I'm not smoking anymore. I'm working on getting more lean, tightening my body up, being more healthy. Because I realize that I have to be that way now. Moving forward, they've been speaking about a cold winter. They don't even know if they're going to, let me say this correctly. They don't even know, now they as in the EU, they don't even know if they're going to have enough gas to get through the winter. So you know what that means? Some people will be freezing to death come this winter. Not because they did anything wrong, but because they simply don't have enough gas. And we didn't prepare. Because we're distracted, which is they want us distracted. And then when we're faced or put against a wall, all it's going to do is make us act out and be more savage. Imagine your heat getting cut off. They're even talking about certain people would not have electricity for about 4 hours every day going into the winter. So that means they're going to be selective about who actually has power. Imagine going 4 hours every day and you don't have any power. You can't charge your phone. You can't use your laptop for 4 hours. Just because they need to preserve the reserves. See, we're not talking about that though. That some people are not going to make it through this winter because of what's going on. People will be freezing to death. But we're worried about a fucking McDonald's meal. We're more concerned with a rapper that died and nobody truly even know like that except people in his local vicinity. That was a local beef. But now it's national. But it was a local situation that's now national, and somehow this is of more importance. But that's why I'm like, all right, somebody got to pivot the direction. That's why I am encouraging everybody, get on your health. Work out. Prepare yourself for the winter now in the summer. Fuck everybody, I got this summer bod. Fuck a summer bod. You work out so that you can endure the winter. That's why you want to be healthy. So that when the winter comes, your body has been trained to endure it. So you're not cold like everybody else. you're not going through the same thing everybody else going through because you started in the summer. You got on point in the summer so that when this winter comes, you're not going to be like everybody else because you've been putting in that work. You started now. Instead of starting in the winter and trying to work towards the summer like everybody else, that's egotistical. Trying to show off your body and all that, but you see in the winter, you ain't doing all that because it's too fucking cold to do all that showing off. But that's the time. That's why you are supposed to train. You are training your body to endure the weather, not to show it off. That's an after effect. But we're more concerned with the after effect than why you need to do it. Because if you tapped into why you should do it, you would be working out now, preparing yourself for the winter, because you know, yeah, this is going to be a cold ass winter if I ever seen one. It's a whole different situation going on. But we're still distracted. And we're going to continue to be distracted, and we're going to continue to see our people suffer because of ignorance. While everybody else is just, just looking around with nobody got no goddamn solutions. That's why I can barely even watch the media, because it's just people talking with no solutions. Nobody has a fucking solution. It seems like nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. Why else would you invest $60 billion into a situation that you can't win? Why are we doing that? Because if we took that same $60 billion and put it into ourselves, we would be straight right now. But instead, we're in a recession. So how the fuck are we in a recession, but we have $60 billion to give to Ukraine? And you know what? We have given more money to Ukraine than every other EU country combined. So you tell me why that is. Nobody else has given up $60 billion. We have given more money to the Ukraine conflict than every other NATO ally combined. So we are held deep into this conflict. And then we're having talks about it may be a recession. But somehow we found $60 billion to send to a different country, to send to a war. And they say Russia has 35 times the firepower than Ukraine has. I'll say that again. Russia has 35 times more firepower than Ukraine. 35 times. And that's including our $60 billion investment. And we're still not making no progress. Which leads me to the next point. It's to the point where the Ukrainian governor said he needs to shut down an entire city because it's invaded with Russian spies. And he's even accusing the citizens of being spies for Russia. They are about to shut down an entire city. But we don't know this though, right? We're not paying attention. We think this don't have shit to do with us. Even though we got a $60 billion investment in it, but we feel like this don't have shit to do with us. Because it's not directly affecting us. See, we may not go through a cold winter, but so many people are. But again, we putting up the bag. So we are just as responsible because we are the ones putting up the bag, the biggest bag. But the Ukrainian governor feels like a whole city is corrupt. You're like the citizens and everybody's corrupt. When the last time you heard about a whole city getting shut down other than for COVID? Like I said, it's unprecedented shit happening and we're not even paying attention. When the last time you heard a whole city is about to be shut down because they feel like the whole city is fucking corrupt? It's invaded by Russian spies and they don't even trust their own citizens. They don't even trust their own people. And I'm speaking about the Ukrainian government. They don't even trust their own people to the point where they have to shut down an entire city because they feel it's too corrupt. But we feel like this don't have nothing to do with us. But these things are happening that has never happened before. Not to this degree. But as I said before, we're not going to realize until it's right in front of our doorstep. Until you get your door knocked on. until your pockets start hurting. Then we like, oh, okay, but at that point it's too fucking late. There's nothing we can do about it. So that's why I feel the need to speak about these things, because I know ain't nobody else going to do it. And that's why I had to go outside of America to even get this information. This is not being reported on American media, as I said earlier. I had to go outside of America to even get this information. I had to go to foreign outlets to even get this information, because America, the outlets in America are not even talking about this. And I'm just scratching my head like, how is this not important? And if they do speak about it, it's just a little bit of it doesn't give you enough details to truly understand it, which is what they want to do. So if they do speak about it, it's like they're giving you the bare minimum of understanding, and then you get hit with more and more propaganda. You know? That's why I say you have whole channels dedicated to us destroying each other. Men talking about women, women talking about men, men talking about men, women talking about women. And we just refuse to cooperate. We refuse to work together. We refuse to be civilized with each other. But again, this is why. Because I guarantee if you check those people's diets and their lifestyle, everything will make sense. I guarantee it. All these people that make this shock value content, everybody who's just filling up their page with bullshit that really don't matter, I guarantee. If you study their lifestyle, everything will make sense. Motherfuckers are still eating McDonald's and shit. Not health conscious. Because, once you start getting those YouTube checks, now you can buy whatever you want. Now you can do whatever you want. And unfortunately, that actually makes people further detached from reality. But that's what I mean. So I guarantee if you look at their lifestyle, it's going to make sense. Because if you live a certain type of lifestyle, you don't have time for this. You're at the fucking gym somewhere. You're at the park somewhere, getting a workout on. You're at home, getting the work in. You don't have time to invest in nonsense. You're trying to better your situation, your family situation. You're trying to move forward and progress. You're not trying to go in a retrograde direction if it's not needed. So I see what's going on. Hopefully you see what's going on. That's why I advise you. Anybody who's just stuck on stupid, just look at the lifestyle that they live and everything is going to make sense. So why shouldn't I speak about bettering your lifestyle? I can talk about the occult all day, but if you're not bettering your lifestyle, you're not going to be granted access to certain chambers. In other words, it's certain chambers that you can't enter if you're unhealthy. Unfortunately, I'm not saying it just to pick at people. This is just a reality. How do I know certain chambers didn't open up for me until I literally had to stop eating food? I had to fast for weeks before certain chambers opened up. So I know this by personal experience, not because I'm on the outside looking in. I had to get into the dirt. And again, I had to remove the food, the meat, the cigarettes. Not the cigarettes. I didn't smoke cigarettes, but I smoked the weed. I may sprinkle a little tobacco on it. But even that, I'm like, okay, do I really need to be doing that now? What the fuck am I doing getting high now? This is what I'm saying. Like, I'm just so concentrated. I'm like, wait, I don't even need to do that right now. To the point where I just quit cold turkey. I'm like, this is just not the time to stimulate. Like, why am I stimulating myself right now? What am I doing that for? What benefit is it doing me right now? It's not. I should be at a point where I don't even need it no more. I can tap into whatever spirits, whatever I'm trying to tap into. I should be able to do that. And if I can't do that, it's an issue with me. That's a problem within me. That's not a problem with the fucking drugs. It's a problem within me. I should be able to get intoxicated off of a workout or something. I should have alternative means of making shit happen. I shouldn't have to depend on a drug or a stimulant or any type of food. That I should not have a dependence, but most of our people have a dependence on these stimulants, on these chemicals. It's chemical warfare. This is what it is. It's chemical warfare, so to the point where we don't even care about what's going on around us, and we don't care about our own lives. We are literally killing each other. Not killing each other, but killing ourselves first. That's where it starts. We are killing ourselves first. That's what makes us not value the next man's life and the next woman's life and the next child's life, because we're killing ourselves. How are we going to value someone else and we're not valuing our own temple? How are we going to value somebody else's temple when we're filling our temple with madness, which is only going to produce more madness? So that's why I see, like, even people in the so-called spiritual community or the occult community, I don't see them recommending people actually get more healthy. Because this is the only thing this is the only power we truly have. Just to be honest, the only power we truly have is over ourselves. We may not be able to influence the direction the government is going in. We may not be able to influence the direction that the people or the masses decide to go in. If they're going to lead themselves to death, so be it. We may not be able to stop them. But you can save yourself. Because you see clearly, like, yo, do y'all not see where y'all going? Clearly not. Their third eye ain't open. And how is their third eye supposed to open? So yeah, they're literally walking into a trap and they think it's a paradise. That's how it looks. We walk into a trap thinking it's a paradise because we're just so thrown off from our natural harmony because of how we treat our temple. How we treat our temple knocks us off of our natural harmony. So that's something that we should not go, or a place or a direction we should not be moving down. We're moving down there like that's just a place to be. Like, I have no idea why people are still going to clubs and shit now. People are just living their lives like it ain't shit going on. Like COVID ain't still out here. People are still getting sick every day by being in each other's face. I keep saying this. But we still find a reason to be in each other's face, especially strangers. We're still finding a reason to be in strangers' face, like these motherfuckers can't get us sick. You may be in front of a sick motherfucker and you don't know it. That's the whole thing. You don't know it. They look healthy. They don't look like they're sick. But then you go home and you start feeling sick. And that's how Joe Biden caught COVID. Do you think anybody was looking unhealthy around him? This is the fucking president, after all. That means you gotta be vaccinated to even be in the midst of the president. You can't even be in the president's midst without being vaccinated. According to the White House, everybody who is even around the president must be vaccinated. And that includes the media. So anybody who is in the vicinity must be vaccinated. And he still came up with COVID. Being surrounded by people with vaccines and boosters. Vaccines and boosters. And still end up getting COVID. Breakthrough COVID. That's what they call it. They call it breakthrough COVID. He still came up with breakthrough COVID. Because he's going all over the world trying to get oil. Because we're investing so much money in Ukraine. So he got to go to the Middle East, and that's what I'm saying. If you don't get it, then you're just not going to get it. Like, we truly don't understand the magnitude of the times we are in. We truly don't get it. How I know? Because I'm looking around at what everybody's doing. Like I said, my eyes is everywhere. All I see in third eye being. My eyes is all over the place. I'm looking at everything. So this is after me conducting research. I'm like, okay, well, what is this person talking about? 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 What is this news outlet talking about? What is that news outlet talking about? I'm looking at what everybody's doing. And I'm like, oh, this is ridiculous. I be feeling like if I don't speak about it, it just ain't gonna get spoke on. Because I'm not seeing it nowhere else. So I would be doing myself and you an injustice if I don't keep it truthful, while everybody else is telling lies. Bait and switch. Bait and switch. Literally, people are creating content with bait and switch. It's like I can't even comprehend that. I can't even comprehend click and bait content. You think it's something because they have a thumbnail. Like I just saw a video now. Like somebody just put a screenshot or something of the guy that just got killed, the Rolly Bands guy. Somebody said, okay, here's the footage. And like you saw a screenshot that looks like a screenshot of some footage. Then when you click the video, there's no footage. It's just a nigga talking. The footage don't even exist. But you find that out after you click the video. So they get the view. So I'm like, that mentality, I'm like, that's a parasite. That's parasitic. But that content is in abundance. That content is in abundance. You have more of that content than anything else. And the only reason they do that is because they get a check. When they get those thousands of views, it adds up. So they would rather get bullshit views than no views. And I guess, as they say, if it don't make money, it don't make sense. But at what cost? You see, that philosophy has taken us to places that we didn't really want to go to. Meaning we're willing to literally lie in order for it to make sense. Because when you lie, you get rewarded on YouTube. That's how YouTube operates. When you lie, you get rewarded. When you do this click bait and switch content, you get rewarded because they're still going to pay you for those views. Even though those views were fabricated because you created a false narrative. As they call, you have bared a false witness against your neighbor. Is that not one of the 10 commandments? Don't bear false witness. But that's exactly what we're doing. But that's why it's a fucking sin to do it. Because while the money is racking up, you're misleading the people, which is dangerous. We know people are vulnerable out here anyway. They don't know any better. So the last thing we should be trying to do is lead them astray. And you know damn well they're going to take everything you say on face value. They're not going to go home and do no research. They're going to take everything you say on face value. And because they take it on face value and unwilling to do the research themselves, that's how they get hurt. That's how they end up in situations that they didn't plan on being in. Taking what we say on face value. And the only people we had to blame is ourselves because we didn't properly prepare. But it's not going to be the situation over here. Because you already know I'm always the one telling you before it happened. Just do the history. I'm the one that's telling you what's about to go down before it goes down because I'm paying attention. And I have been consistently doing that, letting you know what's going on before it actually hits the fan. Especially in these times, 2020 and beyond. So that's why I take these things so seriously. That's why, like, I'm not promoting the occult so that you can do fuck shit. I promote it so that you can be aware of your surroundings, your inner surroundings and your outer surroundings, so that you can make the best move for yourself and your family and those that you care about. So that you can position yourself where you are not affected like the masses because you have been paying attention, just like stocks. That's how you have to operate when you have stocks. When you can see things before they happen, when you can make predictions before they happen, that's how you gain resources. You have to be able to predict it before it happens. You can't do it when it's happening. That's what everybody else do. You got to see it before it happened, because if you make the proper investments before it happened, you can come up. But you have to be able to predict the movement. And that's how a lot of people have become rich, because they are able to predict the movements before they happen. And then some people cheat. It's called insider trading, inside trading. And that's what they are accusing Nancy Pelosi's husband of doing, because he has several stocks. But she controls what bills are passed. So she can communicate to him where to place the money. And then they come up. That's why they're trying to pass a bill right now to get politicians to not own stocks. Like you're not allowed to own stocks, because you can literally manipulate the stock market. If you already know what laws are going to be passed before they pass, and you know how that's going to affect the stock market, you can strategically place your investments in places where you know things are going to grow, and remove your investments from things that's going to fall. That's called insider trading, and they are very guilty of that. Because how would you not be guilty of it? That's why people want to how are y'all able to have stocks, and y'all know what's going to happen before it happens? It's not fair. While everybody else gets fucked over. Then the politicians make money because they already saw it coming. They already knew. They communicate with each other, and this is how they stay rich, and how the poor stays poor, because they know what's going to happen before it happens, while we're playing catch up. We constantly play catch up, and they already know what's going to happen before it happens. So unless you become a predictor, you're going to get lost in the sauce. And that's why I make predictions, so that you don't get lost in the sauce, so that you don't end up fucked over. Because if I don't see it before it happens, if I'm going to be, see, that's when everybody else is going to start talking about it, when it's already too late. Just watch and see. The moment where everybody else is going to start talking about these things is going to already be too late. It's going to already be to a point of no return. Then you may see other people start talking about this type of stuff more. But until that comes, they're going to keep talking about the bullshit and ignoring what really is going down. And it's going to be to their detriment. But don't make it your detriment. Make sure that you see things before they happen. That's why we have astrology. That's why we have numerology. That's why we have the Kabbalah. That's why we have all the tools necessary to make the predictions. We just got to use them. That's what the tools are for. That's what gives you an advantage. You have tools. You have to use them, though. Because if you don't use them, then there will be no benefit to you without use. What's up, Callie? Peace, Callie. 93, Callie. 93. Much praise is due as always. You know what I mean? You always bring the energy up. Because you see, I be going off. Because again, I don't like to see my people hurt when they don't have to hurt. It's one thing if we're all going through something because we don't have a choice. It's another thing where we could have easily evaded something and we're just getting smashed. And it was unavoidable. Well, it could have been avoided if our third eyes was open enough. But in order for it to be open enough, we have to be conscious of our health. Not just the physical health, the mental health. Not just the mental health, the spiritual health. It has to coincide. They all have to coincide. One is not more important than the other. You can't have physical strength without mental strength. And you can't have mental strength without spiritual strength. It's just that simple. So we have to be fully balanced if we want to make it through this chaos. Like, we have a lot of chaos to get through before we get to this new world, this so-called new world order that motherfuckers been talking about forever, since Nixon or Ronald Reagan, one of those, whoever was the first, no, George Bush Sr. So let me get that correct. The first one to say that was George Bush Sr. Not the George Bush that was around, who was president for the September 11th attacks. His father, the first George Bush. He was the one to speak about a new world order. And that's when it became a thing. So the world shifted in 2001 when we first went into the Middle East, when we first went into Iraq. And we know that that was never supposed to happen. That was all propaganda for us to go into the Middle East and take over their resources. And that's exactly what we did. It was only when the Taliban resurrected themselves, that's when we had to get the fuck out of there, because we realized we can't stop these motherfuckers. So we had to get the fuck out of there, and 13 people died because we were rushing. See, we didn't predict, but they actually were talking about, there were people trying to warn Joe Biden, yo, these Taliban motherfuckers are coming and they ain't stopping. Let's get our people out. But he didn't listen. And because of that, 13 people died. Because we tried to rush it. You see how we tried to rush out of the Middle East? And people are still over there. People got slaughtered. Everybody who was on the side of the West, they got exterminated. Because, you know, the Taliban don't play that shit. They straight up kill your ass. It ain't enough to just lock you up. Just like if you steal, they cut off your hands. They don't play that shit. But we were warned, but we didn't take heed. And it cost many people, more than the 13 soldiers that died. Many more people that, you see, we don't even talk about it no more. It's still going on. People are still trapped in the Middle East and can't get back home. But we don't even talk about it no more. You see how fucked up it is? I'm like, damn, how the fuck are we showing them that we actually gave a fuck about them and we don't even talk about it no more? We just let the Taliban take over and we just left the people there and don't even talk about it no more. We literally left Americans and our allies stranded. And now we don't even speak about it like it didn't even happen. Why? Because we're so concerned with what's going on in Ukraine. We're so concerned with what China is about to do. We got our eyes on Taiwan. And then we just left people to die. That's exactly what we did. And it didn't have to happen that way if we took heed to the warnings, because we had a warning, we just didn't take heed. Just like we have warnings now. But you think we're going to take heed to it? Probably not. And if we do take heed to it, it's not really going to change anything. Because if Nancy Pelosi does not go to Taiwan, that comes at a cost too. So it will be a cost if she goes over there or not go over there. There would be a cost either way. It's just about, well, as they say, the lesser of two evils. The lesser of two evils. What's up, Freaky? Just a question. Should we be taking the back shot? I mean, honestly, it depends on your situation. Like, I can't just flat out say no or yes, because it depends on your situation. Like, if you're in a situation where if you don't take the shot, you're gonna starve, then I'm like, yeah, take the shit. Like, you got children depending on you, and you don't have no other way to support yourself and except going into a situation that requires a shot, then it is what it is. Because, you know, if you don't take that shot, you know life is going to get extremely hard for you. Not impossible, but extremely hard, meaning you have to do for self. which is what we should be doing anyway. So that's my answer. If you're not ready to do for self, then yes, get that shot. If you're not ready to be sovereign, if you're not ready to be self-sufficient, then yeah, you got to get the shot. There's no other way. It's either get the shot or you got to learn how to operate off the grid while still being in the grid. So I'm not talking about completely going off the grid somewhere in the forest with no bathrooms. No, you still got to be a part of society, but your resources got to come from a different source. So if you have a source where you can support yourself and your loved ones without a vax, then go for it. And if you don't have that yet, then begin to build it. Begin to position yourself to the point where you don't have to rely on the government, because they're going to keep pushing. First it was a vaccine. Now you got to have a booster. See, that's how they're going to do it. See, before, a vaccine was enough. Then you had to get a booster, then another booster, then another booster. So it's like they're going to keep pushing. So that's why I say, if we are not self-sufficient, but of course we're not self-sufficient, because again, look at our lifestyles. So it's like that's kind of out of the question. Let's just be honest. If I want to be 100% realistic, that's out of the question. Most of our people will be vaccinated because we are simply not in a position to be self-sufficient, because we're so at odds with each other. See, we would be fine if we can get along, but because we can't get along, we're forced to fuck with the government. That's just a reality. We are forced to fuck with the government because we can't get along with each other, and then create community wealth. So that's not going to happen. So I'm not even going to sell you a dream on that. Like one day we will all be united and we're going to be self-sufficient. Nope. I'm not even going to sell that dream. A lot of our people needs to be wiped out first, unfortunately. Not saying that because I want to say it. A lot of our people just need to be taken off of the planet before we can even think like that, because we have too many troublemakers in our society. And then the government likes to send agents into the communities that are doing well. So the communities that are doing well, they get infiltrated by government agents. Just check the Black Panthers. They send in agents to disrupt and confuse the people. And then we start fighting and killing one another. So that's what they do. So if we are not fighting each other, they send in an agent to cause confusion. And that it works every time, because we don't see the long game. Because they're thinking long term, we're thinking short term. So we fall for it every time because we're not thinking far enough into the future. They're thinking 20 years into the future. We're trying to just get through the goddamn month. So you see, it's like it's not even a comparison. We can't compare somebody who's thinking 20 years in the future to us, where we're trying to get through every month. So we're just in a situation where we have to build for ourselves. Like, it ain't even going to be a community effort. That's basically what it's going to come down to. Meaning your own household has to be sovereign. You can't depend on your community. You can't depend on your people, because they're going to let you down. So like, you have to build your own business. You have to rely on yourself. You have to have like foreign customers. Basically, you have to have like a worldwide business. You can't even be local no more, because the local communities is probably not going to support you like you think you should be supported. That's why people are creating online businesses, so that they have access to the whole world, so that you can support yourself by serving the entire world and not just your local community. Just think about how many people had to shut down business because COVID. See, we have a short-term memory. So many people had to go out of business because we couldn't even open up the stores for quite some time during COVID. So some people never got back into business because they took a L. A lot of people got pushed outside of the real estate space because they couldn't pay the bill, because they wasn't getting any revenue, because they still needed to pay that mortgage. They still needed to pay for that rental space. Like if you have a physical space, you have physical real estate, you have an actual store. So because of COVID, they told you to shut down your store. You can't operate, but you still got to pay your lease. You still got to pay the lease every month, but you're not even making no money. So a lot of people were not able to keep paying those leases, and they don't even know when they're going to be able to open again. So even though things have, eased now, there's still so many people that never made it back. They had to completely change their lifestyle. What's my opinion on crypto? It's the same thing. If you're able to predict, you're going to be all right. Crypto is just like stocks. If you're able to predict where the money will go, you will be fine because you will always be able to make money. Because you see, it's not about the price. See, this is because most people oh man, it's just irritating. Because we're so much as scammers. We don't understand big business. We don't understand how the world really works because we're so busy trying to get over on each other. So people be approaching real business with scammer minds, and we wonder why we get fucked over. Meaning, do not look at cryptocurrency as a get rich quick scheme. Don't take that mentality into the crypto space. You're gonna get fucked over. Because let's just say you bought Bitcoin when it was worth $60,000, and now it's what, $20K, a little over $20K. You will be at a loss right now. So if you bought Bitcoin, let's just say last October, when it was like at $60K, you're at a loss right now. That's why you can't approach it like that. You have to approach it as you will benefit irregardless. You don't care what the price of Bitcoin is. You shouldn't care. It's never going to be zero. And I'm just using Bitcoin. Of course, we have all types of currencies, Ethereum. There's, everybody, you have all type of cryptocurrencies are popping up every goddamn day, honestly. So the only real people that's benefiting from Bitcoin is the ones who invested early, because you will still be up. Like if you invested in Bitcoin when Bitcoin was worth less than $1, just because Bitcoin is $20,000 now, $40,000 less than what it was, you are still up if you invested early. And that's my point. If you're able to predict and invest early, you're going to be just fine. That's a whole lifestyle. That's what a trader does. It's people who literally trade, and they don't do anything else but trade. They're traders, day traders. This is what they call these people, day traders. But how many people know how to do that? We don't even have enough patience to learn that. But you can gain financial freedom if you do. Because you don't have to be dependent on the government. But it's a skill. It takes time to learn it. You're not going to learn it overnight. That's why I say you can't come with a hustler's mentality, with something that's here to stay. Bitcoin is here to stay. Cryptocurrency is here to stay. So you can't approach it with a hustler's mind, because a hustler switches when the hustle is no longer profitable. They just start doing something else. But that's why we praise the hustler. The hustler, everybody wants to be a hustler, but that's not how you get rich when it comes to cryptocurrency. You can't have a hustler's mind. This is not just you just throw money here and expect the money to come back to you, because you don't have control over the price of Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency. We don't have control over the prices. But what we do have control over is our ability to predict the price. Because if you can correctly predict the price, you know how to move the money when you need to move it. And you know how to invest it when it's time to invest. So like it's a skill that every one of us should know. But how many of us actually know that? How many people think this is what I'm saying. Because of our health, because of our mental fog, Our physical fog and our spiritual fog, we're not even equipped to learn that science, because it is a science, because it's based in mathematics. Trading is based in mathematics. Prediction is based on mathematics. Can you predict the numbers? People literally get paid. They call these people what? Financial advisors. People literally get paid to advise other people on how to invest their money. There's a whole career of people doing that because they know how to predict the numbers, or they are at least right 60% of the time. And that's a good percentage. In their world, if you're right 60% of the time, and we know that's a D, but if you're right 60% of the time, that's still considered decent in their world. They still invest in you if you're right 60% of the time. And like you see, that's like the bare minimum. So that's why I'm speaking about these things. Until we get our health right, physical, mental, spiritual health, we can't even think in these terms. Ask the average person in your community, in your neighborhood, how to day trade, and they're going to look at you foolishly. But you ask them about these fucking rappers, you ask them about these entertainers, they got a mouthful for you. They going to tell you everything about what happened to the guy that just got killed. They know all the details. They know all the details about all the drama that's going on with the rappers. They can tell you everything about the RICO charges in Atlanta. They can tell you everything about Young Thug and why he's locked up and who's going to be locked up in the next 2 months. They know all about that. They can give you a full mouthful about the hip hop shit. But then when you ask them about, okay, let's talk about some real shit, then they don't got no energy for you. And that's the issue. That's the issue. Because that's where our energy should be directed, especially in these times. If you want to secure your finances, this is where your mind should be going. Especially if you're talking about you don't want to be dependent on the government. Well, if you don't want to be dependent on the government, you better learn how to day trade. You better learn about some cryptocurrency. Because that will be the money that you invest in the real world to do what you really are trying to do. That's what's going to take you out of poverty. But you have to learn how it works. You have to learn the system. But I guarantee you ain't gonna learn it eating fucking McDonald's and pranking motherfuckers. Bearing false witness against your neighbor is not gonna happen. So we wonder why we suffer, because look at where we allocate our energy. That's why the world looks at us foolish, like, what the fuck are y'all doing? We're supposed to be the greatest people on the planet. And I'm not saying we aren't, but we're definitely operating from our lower selves right now. We are definitely not operating from our highest potential right now. We are definitely operating like we don't know what's going on with our tail tucked between our fucking legs. That's what we're doing right now. We're looking real fucking weak right now. When the rest of the world is worldly and we're still thinking locally. We're still thinking on a local level when everybody else is thinking on a international level. They have an international consciousness, and that's why I bring international news. That's why I'm not just talking about what's going on in America. I'm speaking about what's going on internationally, everywhere. The whole world is ours. So why the fuck are we limited to just our local areas or our local nation, as if the other parts of the world don't affect us? It does, and this is what's making it clear. What happens in Ukraine will affect us. What happens in Taiwan will affect us. How China responds to that will affect us. Because we are all interconnected. So what the world does has an effect on us. So for us to not be internationally minded is only to our detriment. That's why we must go beyond America. Again, that's why I say I have to go to foreign news outlets to even know about this stuff. This is not going to be the headlines in American media. Again, we're still talking about bullshit. We're still talking about celebrities, Hollywood, rappers. Like, that's the most important thing popping right now. It's not. Who the fuck cares about a song? We do. We're still waiting on the fucking music to drop. Music that is not helpful whatsoever. You see how fucked up this shit is, how this cycle is. We are waiting on music to drop that's not gonna do anything for us. All we're gonna do is put money in somebody else's pockets that don't give a fuck about us. Because how can you care about us when you make a certain type of music? How can you care about people when you don't give the people anything back? They give you everything, but they don't get anything back. He likes the devil because the devil gives him nothing. What? We literally invest everything we have and get nothing back. Hence, when you eat McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, because I don't want to just beat up on McDonald's like that's the only problem. Whatever fucking restaurant. You see, all our money goes into things that give us nothing in return. All McDonald's and all this fast food is going to do is give us worse health. But look how many people that don't even know how to cook a fucking meal. Which is why people eat so much fast food, because we're in households that nobody even wants to cook a fucking meal. Imagine that. To the point where you're forced to get fast food because ain't nobody cooking. Nobody even know how to cook. And if you know how to cook, you don't feel like it. Like, people feel like it's a chore to fucking cook dinner every night. Like, when did that happen? We're talking about food, and that becomes a chore to the point where, like, fuck it, I'm just about to get in the car and get some fast food. Fuck it. We cannot have that mentality, because we're not going to get anything in return from that other than just worse health. That's the only thing we're going to get is worse health. We're not going to get any benefit. So that's what I mean. We're investing our money into things that give us no benefit. We're investing our energy into things that give no benefit. Again, just look at the views. Again, just look at the rapper that just passed and look at all the views. Combine all the views of everybody who's talking about him like they knew him. And look at all those views. It's millions of views across hundreds of channels. Millions of views across hundreds of channels. And I guarantee none of those channels even knew who this man was before he got killed. Majority of these people didn't even know that this person existed, but they're talking about it, and they didn't even know this person existed before he got killed. This is what I'm saying. But we got so much energy for a person we didn't even know prior to them dying. And now we want to talk about it because we know people are going to click on it, because we know that it's a trending topic right now. We know that it's going to get clicks. It's going to get views. But what are we really giving people? What do we get out of it as a consumer when we watch that type of content? What have we learned from it? What have we gained? Okay, this rapper died today. This rapper died the next day. This rapper died. Like, what do we gain by continuously producing that type of content? What are we gaining from that? What are we gaining from exposing this person, exposing that person, exposing this person? What do we gain? But this is just, we got all the time in the world for it, though. And how I know, because, again, the views show. Look how many people that's invested in that. It's like we literally can't compete. Like, if you have a positive message, you literally can't compete with somebody who got a negative message. You literally can't even compete with them. Because YouTube is not going to push positivity, unfortunately. Like, my videos are not going to be popping up on the front page of YouTube unless you're already subscribed to me. But if you're not subscribed to me, my videos are not popping up. You have to specifically look for me. And anybody who's pushing a positive message, you got to look for it. It ain't just going to be in your face. As soon as you go to your homepage, majority of it is madness. Majority of it is information that's not useful. It's entertaining. It may play on your emotions. It may trigger your no, I'm not saying that right. It may trigger your psychology. There we go. But again, none of these things are useful. When people say things that get under your skin and now you're upset and irritated and you just watch the video and now you're in your feelings about it. It's not useful. Now we take that energy, we take that negativity, and then we bring it into our present world. We bring it into our present life. You see how that goes? This is why they do it. Every time we consume that bullshit, it affects us. It affects our consciousness. Then it affects everybody around us. You see how that goes? Now our household is in disarray because we didn't consume some negative content. And again, I'm not saying negative as bad because, negative is the feminine. So I'm not saying negative as in it's bad. We're just using words that we can comprehend. We just absorbed energy that was bad for us, and now we are spreading it like a parasite. Now we want to talk to other people about it. Now we got to show the next person, oh, look what's going on here. Look what's like. Now we're sharing the content. Now we're talking about it, and it's doing nothing for us. True indeed. I spoke to someone about that the other day. He told me no one cooks in his house. You see the issue? See, nothing I'm saying is I'm only speaking facts. So I'm not gonna get up here and tell lies. It's enough lies out here. I'm only speaking facts. And this is why so many of us are unhealthy, because no one wants to cook. Because I guarantee if we ate our own meals, it would hit us differently, because you can put love in your food. That's why we're out here fucking hating each other, because there's no love in our meals. You can't have no love in no fucking fast food. There's no love in that. But when you cook your meal, you can put love into your food. You can put positive intentions into your food. You can make sure that everything that you eat is healthy for you, depending on your body type, depending on your blood type, depending on your zodiac sign. You can specialize your meals for you. But we can't do that because, again, it takes too much energy to cook every day. So we're forced to go outside the home and eat and get food from people who don't give a fuck about us, who's just trying to get a goddamn check like we are. The motherfucker that's flipping the burgers at Burger King is trying to get paid like everybody else is getting paid. They're not thinking about, okay, I'm filling this energy with love. They're not thinking like that. They're trying to get a check like everybody else. They're only there for a check like everybody else. So that becomes an issue. It's like the food that we intake on a physical level has no love. The mental foods that we consume, like the content we consume, doesn't have any love. How many of these people you think actually had love, again, for the guy that just died? Like I said, they didn't even know he existed. So how can it be from love? They give their criticism, they give their commentary, but it's not coming from a place of love. They didn't even know who this guy was. But everybody got something to say about it. And they didn't even know he existed. So it's not coming from a place of love. So our physical foods are not coming from a place of love. Our mental foods are not coming from a place of love. And our spiritual foods are not coming from a place of love. Because then we believe in religions that do nothing for us. We believe in religions that actually suppressed us. We believe in religions that shed blood to even spread. They wouldn't exist without killing. They had to spread because they killed the people that didn't believe it. Christianity is only the ruling religion because of the sword. Christianity rules by the sword. That's the whole history. If they didn't pillage and kill people, it wouldn't be as big as it is today. They were forcing it on the people, and they still force it to this day. How do I know? Because if you get caught up in the courts, for example, if you get caught driving under the influence and they send you to an AA meeting, a lot of these AA meetings are inside of churches. So you see how they fuck you over? So you made a mistake, you get caught, and now you're forced to go inside of a church because it's mandatory. You got to have a certain amount of hours of these AA meetings. You got to show up. But now these motherfuckers is talking about Jesus every goddamn time. Now you're forced to be in the church and hear Jesus, 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 Jesus. Now you're forced to hear it because you're not trying to go to jail. And then you get caught up in that trap. So they literally send your ass to church when you make a mistake or if you did it on purpose. But now you got to go to church. But now it's not on Sunday. Now it's every goddamn day. Or now you have to go more than a normal person. Because at AA meetings, you're supposed to go multiple times a week. So that means you're going more than a person that goes to church every Sunday. Now you in the church 3-4 times a goddamn week because you ain't trying to go to jail. You see how that works? You see how wicked the system is? Or is it just me? Am I the only one that sees? What's up, Q-Abba? I'm the only one that cooks in my house, but no one eats what I eat. Exactly, because they're so fucking addicted to hate. Because why would you go outside of your house to eat when you got somebody in your house willing to put love into your meal? But you would rather go outside the house where there's no love and spend your money, and you're spending more money. So not only are we eating food with no love, it's actually more expensive. It's expensive to eat fast food every goddamn day. It's damn sure more expensive than if you just go to the supermarket and you buy enough food that'll last for the whole week or the whole month. It's way more expensive if you're buying fast food every day. So it adds up. So we're literally investing into our own demise. To the point where if a person offers you a plate, you don't even want it. Like, I don't want this love. The fuck, like, what the fuck? Like, they looking at you crazy. Like, why are you trying to feed me love? They don't even know what that is. Because a lot of our households have no love in it. Just because people are in relationships don't mean that they're in love. Most of the time, it's just business. People are just dealing with each other just to get the fucking bills paid. Let's just be honest. It ain't because they're just head over heels in love with each other. It's because bills got to be paid and shit just got to be done. Fuck it. So it just becomes a business arrangement. Oh, but yeah. Tell me I'm lying though. What's up, Medusa 420? Exactly. That's the whole meaning of soul food. Exactly. But how many people are eating soul food at this point? Exactly. We had a whole definition. We called it soul food. But fast food ain't soul food. It ain't that many people eating soul food. So, I'm just pointing out the obvious. I don't think anything I said should be news to anybody. It's just a reminder. Just be aware and be careful how you invest your time, your energy, your resources, and your spirituality. Be very, very careful. Because this world is very tricky. Like I said, this world is one big chessboard. This world is very tricky. And because you know with chess, sometimes you get hit and you wasn't even seeing the move. See, in chess, you got to think 3 steps ahead. 5 steps, 7 steps. It depends on how far your mind. The whole point of chess is being able to think ahead. Think a couple of moves ahead. So you're already thinking ahead. That's the whole world. The whole world is a chessboard. If you are not thinking ahead, you're going to be left behind. If you're not making predictions and you're making choices in the moment when it hits the fan, then you're going to be out of luck. When you're dealing with a person that's thinking 3 steps ahead and you're playing in the moment, you see how you're at a disadvantage? Like that person is thinking 3, 5, 7, 9 steps ahead of you and you're playing in the moment. Like this is a game that's supposed to be played in the moment. It's not. This is completely about prediction. Exactly. 4D chess. This is all about prediction. Because if you can master the game of chess, you can master the game of life. Because again, life is all about prediction. Thinking ahead. Thinking smart. working smart, not working hard, working smart. The only way you can work smart is if you are able to predict. That's how you become supervisors and managers and district managers of your companies that you work for. Because those people that work in the corporate, they're predicting ahead of time, while all of the workers are working in the here and now. They're dealing with the people in the here and now. But the people on the corporate side, they're thinking about the future. They're thinking about where we're going to be in 5 years, 10 years. But every time we clock in, we're just thinking about dealing with the people on a day-to-day basis. Like, fuck, we're just thinking about getting through the goddamn day. Where they're thinking about how do we survive for the next 10 years? How do we place ourselves on top for the next 10, 20 years? That's how they're thinking. That's how you have to think when you're in corporate. That's why they pay you more money. They pay people 6 figures to do this. Everybody who makes 6 figures and above, this is what they do. They predict. They're not working in a moment. Their whole life and career is not based on what happens in one day. They go by quarters, quarterly revenue, quarterly profit. That's what they're doing. When they have meetings, they're thinking about the quarterly revenue. Quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. They're looking at the numbers. That's what they do. They look at the numbers. They're all about the numerology and the mathematics, and they pay people handsomely for this. But you see, you can't even get into these positions if you can't think ahead. That's why most people, again, they're only thinking about the here and now. And then that upsets them. They have a hard time just getting through the goddamn day. So if you have a hard time getting through the goddamn day, how the fuck are you going to get through prediction? Well, you got to think about what's going to happen a year from now. And we be struggling just to get through the fucking day. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. So hopefully, you keep your mathematics on point so that what you do in your life does add up. So that you don't end up in a situation that's coming. Like, it's gonna happen. Like, just look at what's going on in the world. Like, you can see it, just like I can see it. I see where this is going. That's why I'm talking about it, because I'm looking into the future. I'm not talking about what's going on right now. I'm not bringing up these things because of what's going to happen today. I'm bringing up these things because of what's going to happen in the future. The only thing that really happened today was the rapper died, and you see, I just touched on that. But in everything else, I'm speaking about this so that you can plan for the future, not for today. Make your preparations today, but know that you're going to execute those preparations in the future. So that's why they call you a planner. You got to plan ahead. If you can't plan ahead, if you're dealing with the situations in the here and now, it's just going to be a lot harder for you. You're going to put yourself through a lot of stress that is simply unnecessary. That's why we end up aging quicker than we need to age. We end up dying younger than we need to die, because we're not able to plan ahead. Because we're so caught in our emotions, just like the rapper. What did he do? He said he's going to be home in 5 minutes. And guess what? People were waiting there for him to get home, and they took his life. After he said, so literally after he made a post, I'm going to be home in 5 minutes, within moments, he was gone. That's called thinking in the moment. Because if you were planning ahead, you wouldn't announce your arrival. If you know you're in a dangerous environment where people are already trying to take from you your life, your resources, whatever they can from you, if you're already in that situation, you have to plan ahead. Because if you don't plan ahead, you're going to end up in a situation where you can't plan at all, because your time is up. So you preserve your life by planning ahead. You live longer if you are able to plan beforehand. Because if you're just living in the here and now, you see, that's again, we see that's the majority of the world, and why majority of the world is haters. Why you think there's so many haters in the world? Because they're mad at somebody else's success, but the people that are successful, they planned it. They didn't just get successful just operating from the here and now. They had to plan for that. You didn't see them 5 years ago when they didn't have it, but they envisioned it. So you didn't see them then. You didn't see them when they was walking like you. You didn't see them then. But when you see them driving nice, when you see them looking pretty and shit, now we get jealous when like, oh, well, 5 years ago, they was just like you. They just made a plan. And they implemented it and they executed it on a day-to-day basis. And they realized I have to do what I need to do today so that I can make it to tomorrow. So if I'm trying to make it to tomorrow, I'm not going to provoke anybody to take my life today. I'm trying to make it to tomorrow. We have people that are dependent on us or depending on us to make it to tomorrow. We have children that need to grow up tomorrow. We cannot be in the here and now and not take into consideration that everything depends on you planning before it happens. You must predict. So chess is the name of the game. Implement it. And with that, I bear peace. 93, 93, 93.